Hey healers, we are recording our first Sky Yoga for Burnout webinar. We're going to chat for a little while about yoga for burnout. We're going to practice some gentle movements. We're going to move through a yoga for burnout meditation. And yeah, I'll let you know what we normally do in the Yoga for Burnout workshops, and you can contact me if you want to know a little bit more. So welcome to the present moment. I hope you can start to find a comfortable space. You can have a comfortable seat on a couch, on the floor, on a pillow, on a yoga mat, on a carpet, on a bed, wherever you are, welcome. Taking a few natural breaths, just noticing your breath, dropping into the here and the now. You might like to release through the shoulders, letting go of what was before, letting go of what is coming, welcoming the here and the now. So the reason I'm so passionate about yoga for burnout is I am a social worker and I love to notice the complexity in things and the elements around an individual and how everything impacts how we're feeling. Through a few of my jobs, I would put so much energy, and I didn't notice the effect of the systems on me until I was able to take a step back and really become aware of my body, become aware of my energy, become aware of the present moment and notice what was happening and have a look at everything, from a removed perspective. So stepping back and having a look and then making decisions about the systems that were impacting me and changing jobs and trying to influence well-being strategies within work and so many different things. So moving through burnout myself, I found yoga to be very supportive in different moments and in different ways. So like I said, we'll move through some gentle movements. That's one of the first things that I love to do when I'm starting to feel really depleted and burnt out. Just noticing where I'm feeling depleted within my body and starting to bring my breath there so visualize my breath going to that area of tension. It might be in my neck, and moving gently through those sensations in the body. And then once we move the body, we can come to, pardon me. Once we move the body, we can come to the breath. You can start to notice the breath. And once we notice the breath, we can start to tap into the mind and notice if there may be thoughts passing by. We can notice our self-talk, and we can practice becoming that observer of that self-talk and the thoughts and just allow them to pass rather than holding on and creating a story with the thought. There's a quote that I love that says, if we master the body, we can master the breath. If we master the breath, we can master the mind. And if we master the mind, there's nothing that we can't do. So bringing in that bit of hope through these coping strategies, and also connecting to people who might have felt that same feeling of burnout, of depletion. So burnout is defined by an ongoing state of feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, emotionally drained due to constant stress in some areas of our lives or in all areas of our lives. Burnout is actually inevitable. So in this ultra-productive Western individualistic society that we live in within Australia and within other countries around the world, it's inevitable. And that comes to what I was talking about before, about the systems and the different elements that impact us. So as we're on this like hamster wheel in the rat race, we can take a step out of that hamster wheel for a moment, notice all the systems that are around us impacting us, and we can actually start to build our toolkit of what supports us to cope. And we can hold a sense of non-judgment of ourselves, of compassion towards ourselves, and curiosity towards our context as well, towards the curiosity towards the things that we've lived through, curiosity towards our mind, our breath, and our spirit. So hopefully that resonates with you, and hopefully you're in the right space. If you're curious and you're not sure if any of that is sitting right with you, please take breaks from watching the recording and taking the invitations that I invite today. Just showing up is all that you need to do. So there's no judgment, no expectation for you to do anything more. If you like, I'll invite you to do more. We're going to move through a bit of a stretch now, a bit of that gentle curiosity of the body. So wherever you are, we're in an easy seat. So that might look like a cross-legged position. That might look like sitting on a couch or sitting on a pillow. If the floor that you're on is a little bit hard, you might like to grab a blanket, fold it up, and take that easy seat. We're going to come to focus on our hands in a little mudra. So you might like to place the base of the palms together and the fingertips, create a little bit of space between the palms here. Bringing the thumbs to your heart space, tuning into that mudra, the prayer hands with a bit of space. It's almost as if the space between your hands is the space that you're creating for yourself today. Bringing in awareness of any past or present injuries and taking care of yourself as you practice with me. Taking a few breaths here and just allowing any intentions to arise. That may be to move, that may be to ground, that may be to explore new things. Whatever that may be, holding it lightly as you move through the invitations that come next. We're going to stretch through the neck if that feels interesting for you. You can bring one ear towards one shoulder and then the other side. Noticing any creaks or cracks, that's totally normal. You might like to connect with the breath now. So inhaling to a neutral spine, exhaling to one side. Just a few more breaths exploring your neck stretch. Seeing if you can keep it gentle. And you can stay with your neck stretch, or you can invite one hand to ground, to the earth beneath you, to the chair, to the bed, and the other hand to lift up towards the sky. You might like to have it directly on top of your shoulder. You might like to bend the elbow and stretch through the side body. Allow the hands to fall over your head. When you're ready, coming back to center and stretching through the opposite side, lifting the opposite hand. Moving at your pace here, you might like to inhale, lengthen through the spine, straighten, exhale, bend and round. Starting to sense what parts of your body are grounding, connected to the earth below. Perhaps that's your feet, your glutes, your thighs, your calf muscles, your hands. Feeling that steadiness, gravity supporting you. And a few more breaths here, exploring your side body stretch. You may like to turn your head and open through the chest, look up towards the ceiling. You may like to exhale as you round, allowing the chest to look towards the earth. Or you may like to stay with the gentle movement from side to side. And when you're ready, taking the last breath in this stretch and coming back to a neutral spine. Each vertebra of the spine stacking on top of each other until the neck and the head are stacked on top. You might like to do some shoulder shrugs here. You might like to inhale up and exhale down. You might like to bring in some circles, forwards and backwards. Imagining the tension dissipating with each exhale. And you can stay with your shoulder movements, or you might like to roll over onto your knees and sit onto your feet. So if you've got a blanket, folding it up so that your knees have a little bit more support, or if you've got a yoga mat, you might like to move to one side, fold over the yoga mat, and bring your knees to that folded yoga mat so you've got a little bit more support. You can choose if you'd like your toes pointed here, or you could flex your toes underneath you and you can do a little stretch of the toes there. That can get quite intense, so you can flip those toes over and just notice that sensation. Breathe into those toes that don't get much attention. And whenever you like, you can release that point through the toes and come back to sit on your feet. If you want to hold it as we play with the breath a little bit here, then that's up to you as well. So we'll do a few breaths. What we're going to do now is bring our hands to our rib cage. I'm going to come a bit closer so you can see me. And as you inhale, just notice if you feel any movement. As you exhale, just observe if you notice anything. You might like to bring your hands all the way to the side of your ribs or just hold them on the front of your ribs. Now you can add a little bit of breath to your inhale here. You can add a little bit of breath to your exhale if you like. And you might notice the movement of your diaphragm as if it's a jellyfish, expanding with the exhale and contracting with the inhale. Just observing with no judgment, no expectation. And if you like, we can start to connect to those 4 parts of the breath using our hands now. Or you can stay on the ribs as well. It's a similar movement. As you inhale, expand with the hands. As you exhale, bring those hands back to that prayer position. Now notice the microsecond of a pause, the end of the exhale, and at the end of the inhale. We're not wanting to hold our breath, we're just noticing there's actually space in between our breaths. We'll do a few more counts here if that feels interesting still. 1 part of the breath is the inhale, the second part is that pause, third part is the exhale, fourth part is the pause. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can stay with that breath noticing, or you can release it, come back to your natural breath. Now throughout the practice, I'll be inviting things. Please feel free to go back to anything that was previously invited if that feels interesting and curious. So if you're still up on your toes, you can definitely release that. We're going to come to kneeling if that feels right for us today. So we are going to place our knees under our hips. We're going to sort out our padding for our knees. That may be a yoga mat, that may be a blanket. We're going to engage through the glutes and the core, protecting that lower back. So we're coming to a neutral spine here. So neutral has a bit of a curve. It's not too arched, it's not too rounded. Just seeing where the spine falls if you do a few rocks back and forward and side to side. Those knees under those hips. Lengthening up through the spine and through the crown of the head as if there's a string pulling us towards the ceiling. Noticing where we can sense some ease in this kneeling mountain pose. Where in our body may there be a bit of a lightness. We're grounded and we're steady through the thighs, through the knees, through the core, through the glutes. But where's the lightness here? Perhaps it's in our hands. Perhaps it's in our shoulders. Perhaps it's in our head. We're going to dare to take up some space here. As we inhale, we might like to connect some movement with our hands. Maybe taking them up towards the ceiling and lowering them down as we exhale. Exploring our mountain for a few more breaths. You can stay with your kneeling mountain, or you might like to invite a bit of a twist. So you can take one hand behind you, start to face towards the side of the room that you're in. You might like take the other hand onto your hip and just hold. You might like to take a few breaths there, or you might like to keep it dynamic, inhaling to the center and exhaling to the opposite side. If we feel any pain at all, we are easing off. A little bit of discomfort is okay. We're breathing through. We're taking the most effective action for our mind, our body, our spirit. We're considering each option and we're pacing ourselves. Noticing if we need to take an extra breath to slow it down, or noticing if we need to speed it up. Perhaps you want to do a few quick twists, tapping through the body. You can stay with your twists, fast or slow, or you might like to come to round through the spine here. So we can stay in our kneeling mountain, or we can come to standing. We're going to inhale, open through the chest. Exhale, round through the spine. So you might like to take your hands backwards as you inhale, puff through the chest, looking up. You might like to take your hands forward, around through the spine, breathe in between the shoulder blades. Or you might even like to do this sitting down, so you can come to sit fully on the mat, open through the chest, round through the spine. Wherever you are, standing, kneeling, sitting, a A few more breaths here, exploring the rounding and the opening. An invitation to be slow and curious about what that looks like with the breath and the movement. So much of our lives are spent running around, ticking things off. It's not often that we're invited to be slow, to notice what can restore. If we're wanting our grounding energy, we can focus on that exhale. We can add a little bit to the exhale. You might even like to stay rounded. You might like to roll through the pads of the feet and really notice that connection with the earth. If we're wanting a bit of an energy boost, you might like to focus on the inhale. Add a little bit of breath to the inhale. You might like to look towards the sky and hold for a few breaths as you open through the chest. Lifting up through the heart space. You might like to bring a small smile or a big smile to your lips, embracing confidence and energy, maybe a yawn, maybe massaging through the jaw, the temples. You might like to take your hands all the way up above your head here, and then exhale, bring them all the way down. You can bring them towards your thighs, your shins, your ankles, your feet, the earth, a chair, a couch. Taking a breath here as you bend, having that bend in the legs, protecting those hamstrings. If you've got a folded mat or a blanket, you might want to remove it from underneath you. We're going to do a little halfway lift here. So inhaling, lifting the spine halfway, straightening through. Exhaling, rounding through that spine, allowing yourself to fall into a forward fold here. You can take your hands to the mat beneath you, stepping back into a downward facing dog if that feels right, or you can bring your knees to an all fours position. If you're in down dog, you can walk through, bringing one heel to the mat or the floor at a time, bending through the elbows, planting through every single fingertip. If you're in your all fours, you can start to sway those hips, noticing, being curious how the body feels. Knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. Can move through a few cat-cows here. Inhaling, arching. Exhaling, rounding. Bringing in that mind-body-breath connection. Allowing the breath to begin and then the movement to follow. You might like to stay with your cat-cows for a few more breaths, or you might like to explore looking over your shoulder to one side and then the opposite side. You might like to introduce some circles of the hips or of the neck. You might like to explore both directions of circle. And when you're ready, we're going to bring our glutes to the mat into a comfortable seat. We're going to roll down the spine, so bringing the soles of the feet to the earth, aligned with the hips, really gently allowing each vertebra of the spine to roll down onto the earth beneath you, onto the bed or onto the couch. We're allowing those feet to align with those hips, pressing through, really grounding here, noticing that sensation of the earth below or the bed below. You might need to remove a hair tie or a clip. We're going to keep the chin tucked here. We're going to move through a little bit of a hip raise. So if you want to stay with any of the previous movements or stay here and notice the breath, that's totally fine. Otherwise, you can inhale, lift up the hips, keep that chin tucked. Exhale, allow those hips to fall back down towards the earth. As you inhale, you might like to lift the hips, the hands, and the arms above the head. Exhale, lowering everything back down. Moving through your version of your bridge pose. Inhaling up, exhaling down. A few more breaths here. We're going to take one foot, the sole of that foot up towards the ceiling, straightening through that leg. And when you're ready, we're going to release the hips all the way back down to the earth. Release the bridge pose, unless you want to stay there and practice a few more. With the leg that is straight and towards the ceiling, we're going to bend through that leg and place the ankle on the opposite knee. We're going to bring a hand to the knee and push that knee away, noticing if there's any sensation in the hip. This may be enough and less is more. Or you may like to bring the grounded foot up into the chest and interlace your fingers through that gap in the legs. Breathing through a bit of a hip stretch here. You might like to stay still, or you might like to move from side to side. When you're ready, inhaling, allowing both feet to come towards the ceiling, soles of the feet there. You might like to make a little triangle with your fingers and place them under your lower back, under your hips. Elevate the feet a little bit. This one can be called waterfall or legs up the wall. You can do this when you're about to go to sleep or when you wake up in the morning. Just breathing here, allowing the blood to come down from the feet, from the legs, back into your vital organs. A few revitalizing inhales here. And that's okay if it doesn't feel that way. Allowing the soles of the feet to drop back towards the earth and taking that opposite ankle to the opposite knee this time. I just stretched through my right leg, so now I'm going to stretch through my left leg. You can start by pressing away that knee and you can stay there. Or you can lift up that leg, interlace the fingers through. The fingers can rest on the shin or on the hamstring, whatever feels interesting and comfortable for you. Noticing if this hip feels different on this side, and it's likely that it will. We are not symmetrical beings. We embrace the imperfections and the differences. A few breaths here, breathing into the hip, allowing any tension to dissipate. You might like to imagine it moving through, carried by the breath. Releasing. And when you're ready, bringing those feet back into your waterfall, straightening through both legs. You might like to inhale, point the toes, exhale, flex. And when you're ready, hugging those knees into the chest. A few breaths here. Placing the soles of the feet on the earth once more, allowing those knees to knock in together at the center, You might like to walk the feet away from each other, further away on the edges of the mat. Taking a breath here. You might like to join me in returning the hands to a prayer pose, bringing them into the chest like we started, acknowledging our intention that may have arisen at the start of the practice. Or just doing a little scan, checking in from head to toe. How am I feeling? Are there any sensations present? Are there any sounds I can hear? How does it feel to be connected to the earth beneath me, with grounding? Is there anything that my body's calling for? Perhaps there's a bit of tension in the hips still, and you might like to wind screen wiper the knees from side to side. Perhaps you really enjoyed one of the positions like the waterfall and you want to do that for a few more breaths. Or perhaps your body is calling for something else, maybe a full body stretch with the hands above the head and the feet stretching out as far away as possible. Just sensing what you may need before we move into a meditation. And taking that effective action for your mind, body, and spirit. And the most effective action for you in this moment may be to start to come to stillness. You may like to find a comfortable lying position that might look like a fetal position with the knees tucked in tight, rolling over to your side. That may look like a traditional corpse pose where your legs are out straight. That may look like sitting up. Wherever you are, seeing if you can tune into what comfort feels like and seeing if you can make yourself at least 5% more comfortable. I'll invite some stillness here, but please move through to get more comfy whenever you need to. I invite you to visualize the fire and the water elements now. In burnout, we have too much fire energy. We've done too much. We've been caught up in the systems around us that require our passion, our strength, and we have overextended ourselves, leaving us with less fire energy than before, tired, struggling with motivation and balance. I invite you to imagine a beautiful little cozy wooden cabin on a mountain with views of more rolling mountains, the beach and the ocean. You walk into the cabin and you lie down on the most comfortable couch you've ever felt. Your whole body is supported. You watch the fire burn in the fireplace. The fire warms your entire body and causes your cheeks to burn bright red. The fire, like the sun, is dancing fast. It is active, light, and hot. The energy feels like you. With its yang, you begin to dream. You are dynamic and dancing and moving, filled with passion. You burn bright. You are strong. The fire in your belly is the place that has the power to convert food into energy, your thoughts into actions. It is cleansing and it's allowing you to start fresh. The fire represents your willpower, your perseverance. When balanced, you feel confident and powerful. You notice the fire in the fireplace has burnt bright for too long, and it's beginning to reduce to a small blue flame. The small blue fire represents your burnout, imbalanced nature, when you feel weak, tired, hopeless, disinterested, and unmotivated. In the cabin, you feel stuck and you can't imagine how you could muster the energy to collect more firewood and kindling to feed the fire. You take your time to notice this change in the fire and how natural and inevitable it was. You notice a bright white light shining into the cabin through the window. You allow curiosity to guide you out of the door of the cabin. You look up into the cloudy night sky and you see the full moon shining as the clouds pass. You look into the horizon and you notice the ocean breeze cooling your cheeks and your body. You inhale deeply and you sense the cool, fresh air. I invite you to visualize the water elements now. You notice the moon is pulling and pushing the waves slowly to the shore. You take a seat on the wet grass and you feel the little drops of water with your hands. You massage the water into your palms and you allow it to soothe you, to nourish you. You begin to sway from side to side, mirroring the slow stretches of the waves. Your movements flow with your breath, and your mind is quiet, finding focus, balance, and restoration. The water connects you with your emotions and allows you to release the emotions that no longer serve you. You feel refreshed and creative. You feel energy surging within you. Yin energy. It stirs within your inner spring of wellness, your inner spring of wisdom that has always been inside. You may sense the slow stirring of wellness and wisdom within the space between your eyebrows, maybe within the space near your voice box, maybe within your chest, within your heart space. It may be within your belly. The water in the ocean and in the clouds and in the earth and within you has supported you to slow down and return to peace. You may like to gently start to move through the fingers and the toes. Invite a nourishing stretch, a gentle movement. You may like to add a little breath to your inhale. You may like to flutter the eyelids and keep a really soft and gentle gaze with your eyes. You may like to hug the knees into your chest and roll over onto one side. And taking your time, noticing you have options. There's no judgment, no expectation. Perhaps you stay lying, resting, restoring. I invite you to place one palm on the earth beneath you, on the bed, on the chair, wherever you are. I invite you to acknowledge the space you've carved out for yourself today. I invite you to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the earth on which we practice, the First Nations people that hold such wisdom, such strength in community, such strength in nature and mindfulness and grounding. I invite you to observe any sounds that may be passing by. I invite you to bring your focus back to the earth. I invite you to bring your focus back to your practice, noticing if there's any difference from the start of your practice to now. And that's okay if there's not. I invite you to notice your intention once more, and seeing if you can bring any of that into the rest of your day, the rest of your night, the rest of your life. You may like to come up gently to a comfortable seat. Come back to your natural breath. You may like to bring in some gratitude into your heart space for yourself, for showing up, for the community of people who show up around the world. You may be watching the same recording at a different time. And just know that we have strength in community as we cope through burnout together. And just know that these practices are ones that you can return to at any time, even if they're in really small increments. And just know that I'm here to support you. You can reach out to me at any time with any questions, any reflections. In the Yoga for Burnout workshop, we move through the body as we just did, the breath as we just did. We go a little bit more into the breath, some practices. And we talk about the mind as well. We talk about psychology in its many forms. We talk about sociology and the impact of the systems around us a little bit more. We talk about art and some playful practices for coping. And we do some art practices together. We talk about Vini Yoga and the personalized yoga that is in the Krishnamacharya tradition in which I was taught. We talk about chanting, connecting with our voice, connecting with the vibrations within our body and the vibrations that are moving through every being. And we talk about spirit and connecting to this wholeness and this connection that we can get through the mind, body, and spirit. And connecting to spirit may be religious for some people, it may be spiritual for some people, it may be connecting to whatever helps us feel strength in something more. We have time for journaling as well, and then we do the meditation and a closing circle at the end. And the workshop is a lot about connecting in community and really sharing our experiences through these different coping strategies that we may have tried before, that may be new to us. And it's so, so, so nourishing to hear people share and learn from each other. And it really is just a circle of curiosity. I hope to sit with you in circle soon. Those workshops normally go for 4 hours, and we have a nutritious lunch together. Some are in person, and I'm going to do some online as well. So please join me soon, and please keep taking care, and let me know how this landed and how it continues to land. Drink lots of water. The light within me sees the light within you. Namaste. Thank you so much. Big love. Bye for now.